Okay, it's May 13th, 2023, Saturday night. Oh, I do see the Venus over there. Alright, to try to show it after this. Hold on. Okay. I haven't really been playing that much because I've been busy around the house lately. And, okay, let me, I'm trying to still get comfortable here. Hold on. I got water, salute. And just a nightcap. It's a lemonade with a little bit of spice to it. Pretty good day. My daughter went and I had to drop her off. I dropped her off at the mall and then I came, went and got her, and she saw the, what's it called? Guardian of the Galaxies, part 3. And she said she really liked it, so. Alright. Okay, give me a second. Well, the places seem to be empty. Waiting for what? Waiting and love what you got. Love what you got. the middle of the woods, there's a rat. Past that door, and I knew when my pretty swan, where have you gone to find a place to carry on? Sorry, I'm trying to get this one. Yeah, this one. Actually, the geese had, well, I couldn't find the geese one. But there is a white swan too once in a while over there, but I think the geese, there were actually a couple of geese with the babies, but I just showed that one because I really liked it today, the short. But there was like 3 different families with the baby geese. Maybe I will put out the other babies because I did get that. And, oh, that's a nice breeze. I was trying to find my geese one. I could have sworn I had a geese one, but that's the closest I could get. I gotta kind of, yeah, they're kind of quiet, but I can understand why. Because they got the babies, so the mother and daddy's exhausted. Usually the geese, even at night, I'll hear them, and the ducks, it seems like they're all sleeping now. It's like a little after 10. Yeah, Venus was really bright, like, this section, it goes down, like, when I was driving, like, when I had, got my daughter and then coming back, because I don't do the phone when I'm really, when I'm driving, but it was bright, it lit up the sky. But I'll be honest, I have not seen the moon in days, okay? I haven't seen the moon in days. But I have seen, it's weird because even though there's all that coverage with the clouds, at night it's clear for a while. I do see, I think that's Mars there, and then there's Venus. Oh no, the stars are out. I could see the stars. Okay. Like I said, I haven't even picked it up in quite some time now. And little by little, I tried to practice these notes and chords, but so yeah, because this week was really exhausting. Like I said with my husband, we rotated the tires, then we changed the it's called the antifreeze gasket, like for the car, which he said he never did, the van. And then like the little liner, the plastic liner was like flimsy, but not that I regret it, but it was exhausting because and I get nervous because we have it on the 4 jacks, and then my husband's underneath, and I'll hand him the tools and everything, and he's got back issues and stuff, and even my legs were hurting because I would bend down and give him the tool and stuff like that, and then sometimes I will forget like what that tool is, he'll say something as simple as like the socket wrench or something, and I'm like, oh my god, like even though I know what socket wrench is, then I'll forget what the socket wrench is, and then he's like, give me the universal, and it was a little, I mean, I'll be honest, it was a bit, there were those intense moments. I had to play which isn't the first time, but it's not what I would pick, but it's fine because I do, I guess learn a bit there, but I'm his mechanic apprentice. Oh God. Yeah, but I've been exhausted all week of it, and then trying to, do the dishes and catch up with that because I was out there for a few hours helping my husband. I mean, he was doing a lot of the work. I was like the helper. Yeah. Oh, she'll throw that lyric in that song. I got so much to say that I don't feel like saying anything sometimes. And I did stop by the Rock and Crab though, towards like like I went to pick up my daughter last hour, and I like that place. And there's really nobody in the bar. There were, like there'll be people that come and go, and they're very nice there. I'm waiting for that raccoon to show up. That raccoon every night he likes to show up. He usually sticks his little head, but maybe he came already because now I'm looking. I didn't even look at the pan. He may have ate all the seeds already. Yeah, like we had, like the raccoon, there's a deal. There's times the raccoon already knows I'll come out at night and have a cigarette, and he'll be over there eating. But I'm like, no, no, come back. And he kind of listens, it listens. It's smart animals. So he goes down there, and then I'll have my cigarette. Sometimes he'll peek his little head out over there, like, are you done with the cigarette? Like he'll look at me like he's waiting for me to be done with the cigarette. But then sometimes he'll go off, and then then I'll peek and I'll see after I go inside that the raccoon is back. Like you know, at least the raccoon's a little respectful of, of me wanting my cigarette, so it doesn't give me a problem. I don't know. There's so much I'd like to talk. Oh, when I was in a rocking cab, there were two gentlemen, one husband, one man husband. Oh my God, one man had the same name as my husband, and the other man, I don't want to say their names. There were two gentlemen in there, and they were around my age, and I was waiting for my daughter to get out of the movie. And I only had, I was sitting there talking to them, and just probably 10 minutes or so, not even 15. Very nice. And I think they wanted that. In fact, the one gentleman was a bit older than me, and he said he was a mechanic. He worked in the Marines. I want to say Marines. I could be wrong. It's only because I'm tired. And then I was telling him the story about somehow we got into back in the day. Oh God, like before I dated my husband, and it's somewhere in the 80s, not even the 90s. My friend was always trying to set me up with him, but you know, I, but anyway, he took me to an AC/DC concert. So he had picked me up, and he picked me up in this Cuda. And the guy was asking, oh, what was the year the Cuda? I said, I don't know the exact year. I don't remember. It was a beautiful Cuda. But I did say it was a Cuda from the 70s. And had told him that my husband sold the Cuda to a friend of his. And years later, not too many years later, all right, what happened was I told my friend, oh, well, at least he's got a cool car. Now, I had a 1980 Mustang back then, even though it wasn't 1980s. It was more the mid towards the late 80s. And I had bought it at a car auction. My dad has a license for that and all that, blah, blah. I had a motor put in. Um, and it's a beautiful red 1980 Mustang with the sunroof, 4-speed. And the story was this, was at the time my husband and I, we had purchased a house. I don't want to get into that story because that story is a story of itself, of that house. And we were only there a few years. It didn't work out with the house. We worked out, but the house didn't work out. And so anyway, my husband, so I says to my friend, God rest her soul, she had passed around 2014, very good friend. I grew up childhood friend. So I said to her, oh, finally, like at least this guy, at all the dates, he's got a cool car. Because I never, I usually like to drive myself back then around. You know what I mean? Like had my own car. I had my own car. It was like that back then. I had my own car, and ain't no man gonna drive my car. It's my car. So, and I don't mean it disrespectfully. I'm just saying that was the way it was with me. So I'm like, finally, the guy got a nice, cool car to pick me up, and his mom's car, his own car, and everything. All of a sudden, a few times we go in the CUDA, he picks me up in all of a sudden, it's a 1967 white van, a Volkswagen. And I'm like, oh my God. All right, let me not get off the subject. So I remember saying to him, where's the CUDA? What happened to the CUDA? So he's like, oh, I sold it to such and such. And, because I don't want to mention no names. He was in a band, one of the band members. And so I'm like, don't get me wrong, the 1967 van that he fixed it up. It was actually in good shape. And we had actually a good time in it. Don't get me wrong, as far as, we had a good time in the van, partying or whatever and going to places. It didn't really last that long. He had it for a few months, even though it felt like forever. And I'm like, oh man. I was like, okay. Remember, this is the 80s. There's like a weird, back in the 80s, it was kind of, the 80s was weird. The 80s, I don't want to say weird. The thing was, in the 80s, if you had a car, it kind of started like around 1980 into like maybe 1990, that 10-year span, that the attitude, or where I was from, was like, when you had a car, it was changes in the cars too. When you had a car, if you had a car that was like 3 years old, it was an old car. It was really weird. It was an old car. Even though I loved the Mustang, it was considered an old car. So anyway, it picks me up at 967 Mustang. So anyway, now let's fast forward to around 1990. I want to say around the 90s. Now I had my Mustang. We bought a house and stuff, and for some reason I drove. I drove from New Jersey to New York State. Had to go on the New York State Thruway. And we got to the guy's house. I don't want to say the guy's house. I don't mention names. I'm just going to say. And they had a tragedy with someone in their family, and they passed away, the guy's sister and stuff, so respectfully. But when we looked at the CUDA, because I think my husband was thinking of kind of getting it back, or I don't know, want to see how it was going, the guy had it in all pieces. Now, I'm pretty sure he put it together. I don't even know. And it was like, we were horrified. It was kind of a weird day, horrified as far as with me. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember we had to pass a hornet's nest going up these steps with the barbecue. And I remember telling my husband, I ain't going through that freaking barbecue, go past that hornet's nest again, right? So, but we went through the garage. So after seeing horrifyingly the CUDA in pieces, um, and this gentleman, I think he wanted to know if I was interested in the one that passed away, the furniture, but I did feel the energy. And I'm not saying it was bad energy, but I know that energy. I didn't want anything. So I got in my car. So going home on the throughway, my car, that's it, it gave in. The engine, basically the engine blew. Talk about the antifreeze. The engine blew. And it wasn't on fire, but it just conked out. The engine blew. And, or something like that. I don't know. I was young. It cost like $200 some just to get it towed off the New York Thruway to a local towing shop. And my dad, thank God for my dad, because we had money problems. My dad, thank God for my dad, because he had a mechanic business and stuff, and he got his tow truck and he picked it up and stuff and brought it back to his business. But he was like, oh, you'd have to put money into this and probably have to get a brand new van. Brand new motor again. It's a long story. But I don't know why I'm going on with this. But anyway, then in 1992 I bought a duster. We bought 2 dusters. But I'm gonna cut this right there. All right, I love you all. God bless. Oh, love, hugs, kisses, and happy, healthy healings to us all. And I'll just put out a short with the stars that I see over here. Okay, God bless everybody.